Hi everyone, welcome back to part 4 of the Learn Scriptcase from Scratch course. So in this video we're continuing with applications. We're looking at control applications, as you can see. So my name is Nate Carpenter and I'm the instructor leading this course. So as you can see, we're in part 4 of this course here. And if you look at the course outline here, you can see where we are there. We have security and logging next after we finish all the applications here. So as you can see, we're doing control applications, and we're using Global Music Supply as a fictional case study to kind of guide us through this course. We're going to build some sales applications for salespeople. We don't want to give them direct control over the inventory applications, the forms that we built before, but we do need a way for them to input their sales so that the quantity on hand in the database is updated to reflect their new sales. So we're going to use control applications for that. Control applications are like forms, but they're not directly attached to any database table, so we can do any custom logic and then execute queries as we want. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to build 3 control applications, one for each type of product that we sell: recordings, sheet music, and instruments. Those are our 3 types of products. So I've got 2 of them built. I'm going to show you how they work, and then we're going to go through and build one up from scratch on our own. So let's go ahead and go over the script case and get started with that. Okay, so here we are. I've created a sales folder in our development environment to keep these, and I have 2 control applications, one for instrument sales and one for sheet music sales. We're going to build the recording sales. So let me run one of these so you can see how it works. So this isn't too complicated of a control application. We could do a lot more with it if we wanted, but here it is, just a basic control application. We've got a drop down to select our instrument type, and then the quantity, enter that. We can enter in any number, click OK, and it comes around and puts a message up saying it was updated, and we have some logic on the back end to update it. So let's go ahead and look at the sheet music one. They're pretty much identical, they just update different tables. So let me wait for that to load and I can show you how this all works, and then we're going to build our own. So first, if we go to edit fields, we can see the fields that are on the screen. So wait for that to load here, go to edit fields, so we have our sheet music there, and quantity sold, and quantity sold is required. So then we can go to the fields and edit those. So if we go to sheet music, we can see that drop down. And this drop down is populated just like we've done it on forms before. We just select the ID and the name, make it a select type, and we can build that select automatically with Scriptcase. And then that ID will be passed through to the events logic over here. So this is like some of the events that we've done on the forms. We go to validate success after it's validated everything. We have this Sql query, and if you're unfamiliar with this, this is fine. You don't need to worry about it. But if you know a little bit of code, you can do this. So updating the quantity, it's going to be the quantity minus the quantity sold, where the ID equals the ID from the sheet music. And then we're executing that query right there, and then popping up an alert right there. So that's a Scriptcase macro. You can see more about it in the documentation and in other videos that Scriptcase has made. So that's how that works. So let's go ahead and create our own from scratch. So let's go ahead and go up to new application here. And we're going to select a control application once this loads. And it's, control application right like so. And then we can name it input record sales. Right like so. And then we could set an HTML template manually right here that completely control the UI, but we're going to let Scriptcase do that with its themes and so forth. So then click create on this, and wait for it to come around and load so we can begin editing it. Okay, so here it is, and the first thing we need to do is add those 2 fields. So we're going to go to fields here on the left menu and click new field to add fields. And every control application has to have at least 1 field, otherwise it won't work. So we can input our quantity of fields. We're going to do 2, so we can create 2 fields at once. And these are going to be the drop down and the quantity. So if you look at those 2 fields, sheet music and quantity, this one's going to be records and quantity. So recordings, the name is recordings, and then the label is recordings with a capital R. Make sure I spell those both correctly here. And that one is going to be a drop down. We'll change that in a second. And then the next one's going to be quantity sold. And the name is going to be QTY space sold. And so this one's going to be an integer. So they can only enter a number in. And the type then for this next one, the recordings, is going to be a select, and we'll edit that select later. So let's go ahead and click create on those. and it will create both of those fields. So wait for it to come around here. There we go. So now they're all created here. Let's go ahead and edit our recordings field to populate that dropdown. So it's an automatic lookup method, just like we've done on all the forms. It's going to look at the recordings table. The ID is what's going to be returned, and the name is what's going to be shown on screen. So there we go. Go ahead and hit save on that, and we should be just about ready to go with the fields. Now let's go up to edit fields to control what is required in the order that the fields are in. So if we go up to edit fields here, we got recordings first, which is good, and we want to make both of those fields required. So the drop-down will automatically be required. They will have to select a value for that, but quantity sold, they have to enter a value for that. Otherwise, this doesn't make sense. Okay, so now we can copy that logic and modify it here. So I'm going to copy this logic from the sheet music application, and we just need to point it at our different table here. So we're going to go over to events again, and the onValidate success event. So this is after all the fields are validated, they have the correct data in them and everything. Then we know the data is good, and we can go ahead and enter it. So we're going to update our recordings table here. So make sure I name that table correctly. We're updating the QTY field again, minus the QTY sold, and the ID is going to be from the recordings field. So this curly braces means we're pulling it out of the recordings field. And then we're executing that and then updating the messaging on there too. So that's all the same. And then we can make some changes with the UI. As you can see, we have a title up here. So let's go ahead and change that. To do that, we need to go to Layout and then Header and Footer, right like so. And once that loads, then we can change our application headers. So there's two versions, the insertion and then the main application one. We're going to make it the same. So input record sales. So let me type one of those out, and then let me go ahead and copy that to the other one. You could make this different if you wanted to, but we're going to leave it the same. And then go ahead and run that. And now everything should work. We might make one more change on the UI. Let's see what it looks like here. But other than that, it should be ready to run. So let me go ahead and switch over to that tab to see what it looks like. So there we go. There it is. So yeah, it's not quite as wide. We're going to change that here, but we have our drop down that works. We can select our recordings, enter a quantity sold here, and click OK. And it should come around, and there is our message, and everything should be updated on the database side. Let's go ahead and make this full screen. So go to settings here. We've done this with some other applications. This gives it a little bit more modern look. So if we go to settings here, and table width is going to be 100, and then the table width unit is going to be %. So that's 100% of the viewport that it's given, no matter what size the viewport. Go ahead and run that. And we should be just about ready to go here with this control application. So let me go over and switch to that, and there we go. We have 100% of the viewport used there. So that gives it a little bit more modern look, especially once we put it inside of a menu. So that's how you build control applications in Scriptcase to do some custom logic.